Well, good morning, everyone. We are getting set up here. Let's see, there we go. All right, looks like we are on track this morning. Let's see, I think we got Alex coming in here, coming in hot. Well, let's see. Looks like everybody's loading up here. Good morning, Alex.
How are you, sir?
I am well. Looks like
How
we
was your
have, looks like everything's up and running on all the platforms.
Yes, sir. I got the notifications. You were popping up live everywhere, buddy.
Oh, so you did get the notification.
I get X notifications. YouTube's usually a little delayed. I'm watching you at 11, so I don't get a TikTok notification because I pop on before that can happen. So,
Well, usually TikTok sends it out 10 minutes before, but most people say they don't get it. I don't know why. I don't know what I'm.
you'll get 110 ahead.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that. Well, good morning, Dave.
Morning, guys. What's up?
Well, we're just getting rolling here. How was your weekend?
Very good. Quiet, busy, everything else. So yeah,
Excellent.
very beautiful weather.
Exact. What's the weather like over there?
Good. It was a little warm yesterday, humidity wise, but the temperatures are dropped down back in the 80s. So pretty good weather right now.
Oh, good. All right, James, can we hear you hear us? We're not sure whether we're going to have James today because he is traveling.
I hear you guys, but I got a very bad signal.
I thought I heard something there.
Very bad signal, I think I heard him say.
Is that what he said? Yeah, it looks like you're locked up, James. I'm not sure if you can hear us or not. Oh, well, I guess maybe James not going to join us today. We'll have to see what happens.
You powered it off and back on again, James. If you leave your camera off, it might improve the quality just a little.
All right. Well, let's see if that works. All right. Well, let's get moving here. Let me say good morning to some people. Let's see here. Who do we have with us this morning? Well, we have Joy. Good morning, Joy. Native San Diegan is here. Good morning. Wendy from Memphis. Good morning, Wendy. Chris Romano. We have the one, the only, Lisa Maria is here. Lee is here. Good morning, Lee. Benji 1959 is here. Hey, Ben, saying I'm not getting it. I'm not sure what you're not getting, but maybe you can give us some more details in the chat. Gen X Holtz is here. Hey, Gen X. T Rainy 2 is here. And of course, Mama Bear. Good morning, Mama Bear. Traveler, good morning. King's Girl 1974. Scratch 65 is here. Good morning, Tracy Fagan. Good morning, Tracy. Dana is here. I squared 79. Good morning. Wow, we got the whole group piling in. Jess Kilgore's here and Charlie. Wow, S. Marin 8 as well. Welcome, everybody. Good morning. So, for everybody, bringing everybody up to speed, we're not sure if we're going to have James, mainly because he's in a place where he doesn't have a very good connection. So we're going to give him one more minute to see if James, can you hear us? No. So maybe Alex, we should take him down. What do you think?
Yeah, try and connect to the hotel Wi-Fi or something if you can, James.
No, he said he's on the northern portion of Lake Michigan.
Oh,
So I don't think he's in a deal.
Starlink, you can travel with that now.
Right, exactly. All right, let's see here. Here we go. All right. Everybody bear with me here. I'm got to silence my notifications. There we go. All right. Mama Bear said, what a weekend. Oh, boy, isn't that the truth, Mama Bear? Isn't that the truth? All right, let's see here. Alex, are you ready to go with indices?
Excuse me. Yes, sir. Wow. Up, and up goes everything. S&P 500 up 16.25 to 6,189. Dow Industrial is up 176 points to 43,995. All-time highs, folks. NASDAQ sitting up 56 points to 20,329. Gold is up $12.70 to $3,300 per ounce. Looking at crypto, Bitcoin holding steady at 107,541 a coin. XRP sitting at 219. Ethereum sitting at 2470. So everything's holding pretty steady in the crypto market. Definitely up from the dips last week. Gold sitting, would we say $3,307 right now. Silver sitting at 36.23. And oil is down 76 barrel to $64.76.
Thank goodness. Boy, do we need that here in California. Wow. It's
We
just
need more
crazy.
than oil prices, brother.
What's that?
We need more than oil prices down.
Oh, gosh. Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? Ben over on TikTok said that he was talking about the notifications. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that whole thing, Ben. I logged the lives a week before, and sometimes people get them, sometimes they don't. So who knows?
What was Ben's number? Name, Sam?
His name, Benji,
Yeah.
1959.
Okay, I didn't know it was Ben over. I thought it was another guy checking you.
No, we have trolls, but they're not that Ben. No, I know Ben. All right. Hey, Jason Coons is here. Good morning. I'm married to Bob. Showed up, and Sarah Catherine. Hey, Captain Graybeard's here, and Rosie. Good morning. Melissa, good morning. Long time no see, Melissa. I know that you work normally during this time of the hour. Glad to see you could make it this morning. All right, Dave, are you ready for farming and agriculture?
I absolutely am. Corn's even across the board.
Dave,
Soybeans
do you
are
know
up
that
5.
your video's not on?
Mine?
Yep.
Yeah, it shows you paused. That's weird. TikTok playing tricks this morning.
Yeah, it could be.
That is strange because I can see it on my end, but I can't see it on my other phone.
You want to drop out and come back in real quick?
Yeah, I'll try it.
Okay. What do you think, Alex? Do you think we should disconnect James?
We'll see if he comes back.
Okay. Let's see if we get Dave back here.
In other news, while we're waiting for Dave to come back, Trump mentioned, since we're having all these issues this morning with this platform, he mentioned in an interview that he has a buyer for TikTok.
Right. He said a group of very wealthy buyers, and that he is going to.
Could it be Reed?
Huh?
Could it be Reed?
It's possible, and he said that President Trump said he'd be letting us know within the next 2 weeks, which means it could happen tomorrow. It could happen 3 months from now.
Right.
Hey, Dave, there you are.
I'm here.
All right, let's see real quick here before you get going there, Dave. Martin's WB just made it. Good morning, Martins. Hey, US03 USMC Sarge is here. Good morning, Sarge. Glad you could make it. Sassy Minnesota girl as well. Welcome, Sassy. All right, Dave, what do you got?
Corn is even across the board. Soybeans are up 5 to 9. Wheat is up 1 to 6. Cattle's down 0.1%, and pork is down 2.36%. Big news today at 3 o'clock coming on some more USDA reports on acres and corn and soybean stock. They're saying Brazil's numbers on their corn are up 5 to 7% across the board. So we might take a pretty big hit this afternoon of what we're expecting.
Right.
So time will tell.
Yeah, exactly. Isn't that the truth of just about everything right now? Time will tell. Let's see what happens. Marianne Thompson is here. Good morning. Donna Fox just showed up, and Toey Bixby. Good morning. James, just so you know, we couldn't hear or see you, so we dropped you down. If things change, let us know. I'd love to have you back in, but totally get what's going on. All right, let's see. Oh, and before we get much further, everyone, we do have a special guest joining us today. Now, should I tell him who it is, you guys? Or should we surprise him?
You, sir.
All right. Well, his name is Pat Miletich, and Pat is a former MMA championship fighter who has now moved into, in a sense, health and wellness. In addition to his coaching and other things that he's doing, Anyway, he's going to be joining us today. Now, we've been having all kinds of issues with guests, as you all know. So I'm hopeful that he's going to be able to join us. If you guys would keep an eye out, and Lisa Maria in the chat, I asked him to send us a message when he gets here so we can bring him on. And hopefully it'll go without a hitch. We'll see. All right. Well, hey, Prep Man just showed up. Hey, Prep Man. Glad you could make it. All right. Well, let's jump into some stories until we see Pat. John Doherty. John, we're going to get to that in just a second, but he wants to know why they're putting up big gates and barriers right now in D.C. Well, maybe, you know what? Let's just start with that story. Over the weekend, there were barricades being erected in Washington around the White House and around the Treasury. Now, some are speculating that it's 4th of July preparation. Others are speculating because it's around the Treasury as well, that it could be something to do with the financial system. I don't know what to make of it at this point. Alex, what do you think?
Well, I mean, there was a black Mercedes van in downtown DC that exploded yesterday. We had an event in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho yesterday, Louisiana. There are definitely things popping off. Are they all connected? I can't say. I do know that if you follow what Sarah Adams has been warning us about for a couple of months, barricades going up in DC do not surprise me right now. And I do see that Pat has joined us.
Oh, wonderful.
Dave, what do you think about the barricades?
I guess time will tell. Obviously, with the 4th of July being there, it's protective. But like we said, I don't know the area if Treasury's close or it just falls in between there because of the fireworks or whatever. Time will tell on that too.
Right, exactly. But at the very least, it is very interesting that something is going on. Now, whether it's, ridiculous or out of control, who knows? But as everybody says, let's just wait and see what happens. All right, let's move on. Let's see something just happened there. Hold on, everybody. There we go. All right. So last week, S&P rose to an all-time high. You have Bitcoin going up and cryptocurrencies. You have prices going down. It looks like this whole tariff thing seems to be working to me. What do you guys think? Dave?
Well, we haven't even scratched the surface of the tariff deal yet.
Right.
We haven't even opened those floodgates up yet. So in my opinion, and as soon as that happens, and I'm excited to see Thursday night if he has any announcements at the Des Moines Fairgrounds, see what Trump says before the 4th of July celebrations on Friday. So excited to see.
Yeah, exactly. Alex, what are your thoughts?
Wait and see, sir.
I know. There's so many moving parts right now, everyone. The machinations that are taking place behind the scenes are off the charts. Now, I tend to listen to or to watch President Trump's truths. A lot of information comes out through there. It comes out through him. And one misspelling means something. When he references different ideas, different people, he's doing it for a reason. And I find it very interesting that he's been putting a lot of truths out, which he always does. But some of them have to do with Jerome Powell. The gold narrative has entered back into the news cycle. Are we going to see something with Fort Knox, with gold, with the financial? We have a barricade going around the Treasury Department. I don't know, just speculation at this point, but I find it very interesting. Hey, John Gwynn just made it. He said he's driving. Well, be careful, John. Don't be getting crazy on the road while you're listening, but glad you can make it.
And Pat's ready. Pat's ready when you guys are.
Okay, great. Let's bring him on.
I shot him an invite, and now he's dropped out of the list. Hey, Pat, if you can hit the multi-guest and request, we'll pull you up. Make sure you're on a device and not on a computer, a phone or an iPad.
He did say that I explained to him that if we sent him an invitation, he didn't see it, that he would have to request. But I forgot to tell him not to use a computer. Hopefully he'll
I just texted him. We'll see what he says here.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I saw his name there for a while and shot him an invite.
There he is. He's on his phone.
Okay, cool. Hey, Franny Dragonfly just made it. Hi, Franny. Let's see here. We also have. Oh, he said I'm on my phone. Did you guys? I just
Go
sent
ahead
him a
and go.
request.
Yeah, go down to the oh, you sent it to him. I was
Yeah,
gonna
I
have
just sent
him.
it to him right now.
Okay.
All right, Pat. I just sent you a request. Let's see whether or not you can grab that. Hey, Tammy C54 is here. Hi, Tammy. Jerry BR549 just made it.
Down at the bottom, Pat, where it says microphone and guests, if you hit guests and then hit accept, or if the accept doesn't go through, that's where you also can invite or request to be up.
All right, everybody, just so you know, we're trying to bring our guest on for the day. TikTok has had all kinds of updates. It seems to be causing a problem with every time we bring a guest on. Now, I'm hopeful that we're going to be able to circumvent those issues, but at this point, we're working towards that. Let's see here. Hey, Kelly Thurman 2 just made it. Good morning, Kelly. All right, well, let's see whether he winds up popping in or not. You guys, let's go to the next story. So we're talking about President Trump and all of the wins that he made. Oh, here we go. Let's see here. I think I got it. Hey, let's see. Is he there? Can you hear us, Pat?
I can hear you. I hope you can hear me.
We can hear you, but we can't see you. Do you want to turn on your video?
Okay. I will do that. There we go. That should be okay.
You made it. Wonderful to see you.
Oh, the digital world is so lovely.
Brother, you know what? If it wasn't for Alex being my tech guy, I would probably be rubbing two stones together on a can with a string wrapped with a can on the other side. So I get it.
I'm a chimpanzee with a violin.
Well, welcome, Pat. I'm glad you were able to make it in. So everybody, this is Pat Miletich. Pat, give everybody a brief overview of who you are, what you've done, and what you're in the process of doing, if you would.
Yeah, sure. I appreciate it, Sam, and pleasure to meet you, Alex, and good to see you, Dave. A former UFC champion, held the title for, I don't know, almost 4 years. Created 95 pay-per-view athletes, 12 world champions, UFC Pride organizations, and then. But most people don't know that I was sick my entire childhood with respiratory illness and things like that. So I had to figure out how to solve my own health issues at about the age of 20 because I wanted to be a world champion at something. Once I did the research and found the natural organic substances that I felt would solve my problems, it took about 10 days for my respiratory system to go from a straw full of mucus to a giant open clear PVC tube is what it felt like. So because I was doing 3 times the work that everybody else was to try and get my endurance better, all of a sudden being able to breathe, well, it totally changed my perspective and my ability to do things. So it made it so that I could run as fast as I wanted, as long as I wanted. I could do, like I said, it changed my trajectory. And because of that, I continued to do a lot of research, of course, for the last, 38 years in total. And about 28 years ago is when I got into the soil. And it wasn't, too much longer after that, I guess, that I realized that the human body and the soil are one and the same. This is one big organism. It needs the 90 essential nutrients in the soil. The plants need 90 essential nutrients, or at least the 60 plus minerals to begin with. All the animals, all the insects, and all the humans on this earth are just part of this gigantic organism, and we all need the same thing in the same form, the bioavailable forms, and then everything changes. So, I guess the best way to explain it is when I teach seminars, whether it's self-defense, defensive tactics, combatives, or asymmetrical self-defense, as far as our environment and everything else, is where do you think our nutrients, our minerals, and everything are supposed to come from? And people generally can figure out the food. Well, we mine the soil dry of all the minerals, and then, supplements, of course, took the place of that. But now 95% of all supplements are made in laboratories, and they're not bioavailable. So when you look around yourself in public, and you wonder why everyone is deformed and sick and hormonally deficient and on and on and on. Well, it's not tough to figure out that it's the synthetics and the heavy metals and the contaminations, the frequencies, and everything else that's causing all these disruptions. So it's really not tough to figure out.
Right. In addition to that, Pat, we have a Western medical system that relies on people being sick. That is their end game. They don't want to heal you. They want to treat you. You never hear a doctor say, we're gonna heal you. No, we're gonna treat you, because every patient lost is revenue lost. And I am
Yeah, and the base. Yep, yep. It's the mindset of symptomology, to mask the symptoms instead of going after the cause, which is the only way to resolve the cause of the issues, because we are biological organisms, is biological and organic substances. That's it. So when they talk about alternative medicine and the whole snake oil salesman thing, that's allopathic medicine, and unfortunately, most people have been misinformed. And look, we have to understand the systems have been built, the insurance programs, people have the ability to pay a small amount, and then their insurance company will pay for their meds and everything else. Well, that's by design. So we just try to educate people on how easily we can, work to clean the cells out of all the toxins and replace them with colloid, real carbon bonded minerals that allow them to just turn their health around, right? Allow the body to do what it's supposed to do.
right. And you were talking about 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, and 3 essential fatty acids. I'm with you 100%. And one of the key things, like you said, is the bioavailability. And what that means, everybody, is your body's ability to assimilate those nutrients. And I think that's what Pat is getting at. So Pat's working on that. And then he's also, tell everybody a little bit about Soil Savers, would you, Pat? Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. Soil Saviors is a program. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
A little delayed, but we're good.
Okay. So anyway, the Soil Savers program is 7 components in a box, depending on the size of land that you're going to treat, whether it's, we've got 5-acre boxes, 10-acre, 20-acre, and 40-acre boxes, and we can go a lot bigger. But ultimately, it's mainly right now for the gardeners, for the orchard owners, for hunting landowners that want to put high-grade nutrients and real non-GMO soil-borne probiotics into their soil, which have the capability to convert, ingest, and transmute all synthetics into essential fatty acids and heavy metals into colloids. And we've got data back as well on programs that we've done in North Carolina on highly radioactive soil. Took 5 months to bring that down to far below non-detect levels. So these programs are real, not to mention can grow a Jurassic garden for you, but can also, remediate your entire environment so that you're not being toxified by the synthetics and heavy metals and other things around you.
Right. Now, Dave, aren't you working with Pat, or had some discussions with Pat about this for your farm?
Yeah, we did some trials on our corn last year, and we're going to get back to it in the future, we hope, on moving on some bigger scale stuff. And, we talked about, Pat, I got some samples back from plants, tissues, and stuff like that. And I was looking at, I think it was 1,200 parts per million on my aluminum through the plant. What is a toxic level of aluminum for soil
Well, a lot of experts, of course, the EPA and others are allowing the levels in the compost facilities, county compost facilities, to go through the roof. I mean, I had 2 meetings with a compost facility, I won't say where, 8 months apart. They were at 4,100 parts per million the first meeting, and when I looked at their COA the second time, it was almost 5,000 parts per million. Aluminum is it causes respiratory and neurological dysfunction. Certainly in its bioavailable form, carbon bonded after being digested by proper microorganisms, it's beneficial. But in the metals form, before being digested, it's not helpful, and as well as other metals, of course, as well. So, you're getting. I wouldn't say that it's horrible right now at that level, but we'd like to see it lower. And then, we've also got, and as far as the bigger projects, we've got aligned with some producers, mining groups that want to supply us with the dry spread, because we've got foliar spray for gardens and orchards and hunting ground, but we want to have a massive amount of dry spread, full of nutrients, full of the minerals that are needed to be done. Dry spread would be something mined, volcanic rock dust and other humates and things like that we put into blends in 1-ton totes or 5-gallon buckets and things like that for depending on what size of land you want to treat. But those are the nutrients in a solid form, in powder form or very small pellet size that are natural, that can be digested by our microbes and broken down into bioavailable form for plants, for crops, all those sort of things. So we've got numerous mountains right now. Each mountain is about 300 to 500 million tons of dry spread. And these are useless to these groups because they're just mine tailings. So they're not beneficial for what they're looking for, but because of our unique combination of microbes, we're able to break that all down into bioavailable nutrients for the soil. So we could literally heal every square inch of American soil once we have full access to all of this.
Now, are you guys getting any pushback from the government? I should say the old government versus what's happening now with RFK Jr.?
No, we really haven't had any pushback because they're looking for solutions as well, and we're working with numerous groups and some folks within the military and groups like that. That look, the military bases that are toxic. A lot of other areas where there's brownfield sites. I mean, I can't remember 15 million acres of brownfield sites around the country that are deemed toxic, right? So we do have solutions for that problem, as well as Superfund sites to an extent. And a lot of the I would say the environmental engineers are the dig and haul folks that are digging up all the soil and putting it in dump trucks and hauling it out to a desert and dumping it and spreading it out. Well, in situ means where it's at. We can fix it where it's at with our programs, and it's obviously all natural products.
So what is the application? Are you like spraying it from planes, or are you bringing it in by truckload? How's that happen?
It can be sprayed. It can be sprayed by helicopters, drones, planes. Obviously, foliar spray rigs, tractors, things like that. So it just comes down to mixing it correctly and loading it in the spray tank and in whatever it is, how it's going to be applied, and just take it out and treat the soil. So
Yep.
Interesting.
And the natural microbes will break down all those heavy metals and produce food for the plants. Then is that correct? Basically.
yeah. And so there's people that, Billy Bond, a good friend of ours out in North Carolina, who's a soil expert. He's got programs that can solve the problem. The only problem with the compost and the normal bacteria that are created in those compost piles, they work. It just takes years and years and years. Where our mix of we'll just say that there's a lot of unique organisms in this that are very beneficial in diversity. They're going to express themselves to the problem that they're presented with, depending on whether that's pesticide residue or heavy metals or radiation contamination. And those specific organisms will then express themselves, go after the problem, because they all, in a community, want to create a pristine environment for themselves, right? And so people don't realize that nature corrects everything. If all of mankind died today, that nature would take it all back and make it perfect to the destruction that we've created, right? All we're doing is assisting nature in speeding up the process. That's all we're doing.
Pat, you have Chantel Herbalist Weaver 74 said, how expensive is it?
We've got 5-acre boxes, which means you can spray 5 acres one time, or you can spray 1 acre 5 times, or a 1/4 acre 20 times, depending, and then so on up to, we can do 1,000 acres at a time if we want. So a 5-acre box is $375. And so a lot of gardeners purchase that. A lot of orchard owners purchase that. And then they've got multiple treatments throughout a growing season, for instance.
Wow, that seems very inexpensive based on what they're getting out of it.
Yeah, I utilize some stuff on my sweet corn patch in my garden that's never had a toxic anything put on, and I seen a better reaction out of that instantly on what the crop did. It darkened up and took off after that last year.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've got
And so like I say, when we had the dry spread, when we add the dry spread to that for long-term nutrients. So the foliar spray for plants is almost like what we call a crack hit. And the plants will absorb it and get going and rev them up, but it's not long-term in the soil, in the root. So the dry spread is what the microbes, want to continue to break down for long-term nutrients for any plants that are growing there.
Alex, what were you going to say?
You got 10 peach trees, 6 or 8 pear trees, a couple apple trees. It's soilsaviors.org for anybody that wants to go look at the product and purchase it. I have known of you for a very long time. I don't know if, and I'm sure you do remember Evan Tanner in the MMA days. Was one of my very best friends growing up in Amarillo, Texas. So I've been around you guys for a long time, but it's super exciting for me to have a chance to meet you and what you're doing in the soil space. Obviously, you and Dave have become friends, and anything we can do to help promote what you've got going on, hit us up anytime.
Yeah,
No, I appreciate that, and that's for me solving my own childhood health issues. It opened up a funnel of receiving a lot of information and continuing to research. So once we know that there's solutions, I think we're obligated to share them. Is pretty important to me. So,
well, I think
same thing you're doing with discussing the issues that are going on.
Right, exactly, Pat. I mean, as most of my viewers know, I've been in this fight since the late 80s. My brother, Dr. Mike, God rest his soul, opened my eyes years ago. And now we are seeing an acceleration of exposure that I didn't think we'd see in my lifetime. And we are experiencing things that are mind-blowing, at least as far as I'm concerned. Now, would you agree that we're seeing things happen at a rate that is, even though people are getting kind of pissy about it at times, would you agree that we're seeing it at a rate that I didn't expect?
Most definitely. And we've got, now the release of herbicides that are 200 times more toxic than glyphosate. While everybody's freaking out about glyphosate, it's pretty important to understand the severity of the situation that's coming. And look, the way that we're all awake to the situation that, all the systems that are in place in, not only the United States, but the world for the most part, are counterfeits. We've got, ultimately, I just hate to say it, we've got counterfeit nutrients for soil, for agriculture. The farmers are forced, to go to banks, many farmers anyway, to go to banks and get loans for seeds and inputs. And if they don't follow the SOPs of the chemical companies, they can't get the loans, and they certainly can't get crop protection insurance or bankruptcy protection. That's just in the ag industry, right? Our money is not really, it's not, it's created out of debt. There's no tangible asset backing it. Our education system, as we've known for a long time, is not really educating people on the facts, and on and on and on. So for me, I do my best to live in the real world, and I urge everyone else to do the same, certainly at least with your health, and try to stay out of debt as much as possible. And because in terms of the monetary system, if we all paid off our debt today, money would vanish. It would completely disappear. So, that's
Well,
that's
we're
just
seeing
part of what I'm observing.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about one of the things I had on the dispatch this morning, the Supreme Court. People have had their panties in a bunch about Jackson, even about Amy Coney Barrett, and yet last week we had the ending of the birthright citizenship, the cutoff of funding to sanctuary cities, halting the refugee resettlement programs, freezing the wasteful federal spending, blocking taxpayer funding for gender transition surgeries, and ensuring parents can opt their kids out of far-left LGBTQ plus curriculum in public schools. That, to me, is an indication that a very significant indication that we're moving in the right direction. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, and yes. The indicators, and when I look at for instance, the transgender issue, I'll just say this: that we know that in Weimar, Germany, technically the same chemical companies, subsidiaries now, had access to the population, right? So transgenderism was a massive explosion of it in Weimar, Germany in the 30s. We know that it's being caused by chemical imbalances and toxification of the population. And those people that are dealing with that are really innocent victims in the whole thing. And so we have to look at them and help them understand that if we fix the environment, we're going to fix hormonal issues, health issues, mental issues, all those things with the population, right? So, so I don't want to attack those people at all. I think I do my best to understand and empathize with people who are victims of this chemical warfare that's going on, right? So
Well,
it's super important for everybody to understand.
Yeah, I think I absolutely agree, Pat. I remember when President Trump won the election and we urged our viewers, don't rub people's noses in it. It's time for us to come alongside people, shoulder to shoulder, build them up, help them to understand what's going on. And I think that's super important. Alex, what are your thoughts on this?
It's absolutely super important. I think if we keep people sick, it keeps a lot of the world systems in control, right? But every single ad that you see on TV is some sort of chemical, whether it's pharmaceuticals or this fertilizer company or this, genetically modified engineered crop. And it all plays back into our health. If they can keep us sick and weak, where does that keep us as a nation? If you're 250 pounds overweight, you're not going to pick up arms and protect, or run a mile or defend. It's definitely a sign of the times. But 52 this year, seeing the changes that RFK Jr. is bringing into the spotlight, just the fact that these conversations are happening at a national level is phenomenal. It's amazing. What a great time to be alive.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dave,
It's
any
tough,
thoughts?
Yeah, waking people up. Certainly. Yeah.
Go ahead, Pat.
No, I was just saying it's people are waking up at least. And I just saw a comment from Rockhog64 where it says, "We will never escape PFAS, which is forever chemicals." So our tests that came back last year on PFAS, on forever chemicals, is it takes the tests were done at only 2 months in, and almost all the PFAS were reduced to non-detect levels. A few were still there, but they were diminished greatly. So in 4 months, the forever chemicals that they tell us are with us forever are gone. The bonds are broken. They're digested into essential fatty acids, and they're beneficial because here's where people don't understand the science, is that synthetics are created from coal tar and petroleum. Those are natural, existing, decomposed plant matter in different forms, fossilized forms, ancient forms. So when they do that, they're taking a natural substance and synthesizing it into a different configuration molecularly, which is harmful to the environment and human beings. So I've had conversations with chemists that say, what you're talking about doing is alchemy. You can't turn one substance into another thing. And what I always come back with the chemist is, so you think you're the only one smart enough to take a natural existing substance and convert it into a synthetic, and you don't think the power of the creator and nature has the ability to turn it back?
Right.
That's every time, and they don't know what to say at that point.
Well, and I think also too, Pat, something that at least in current society, excuse me, every industrialized society is going to suffer from two things: toxicity and nutritional deficiency. So until we get to the point where your treatments can help the soil on a mass scale, I always encourage people to do a liver detox. And I do that twice a year myself, because it's almost impossible in an industrialized society to avoid toxicity. Now we can super hydrate the body with nutrients, which I think is absolutely necessary, but it's also important to detox. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and there's misnomers about detoxing. So there's a lot of products out there that will detox you, but they don't necessarily replace the toxic substances with bioavailable minerals, right, and elements. So for every essential mineral, which there's over 60 of them, specific amino acids are created, which are the building blocks of cells and life in general, right? So we know that's super important to have those. Otherwise, we're missing things. But so depending on the fulvic acids, which we are lucky to, if we could find a better one, we would find it. But we found what we believe through testing the most nutrient-rich substance found on the planet, and of course the biology, the microorganisms, the probiotics that are non-genetically modified, which is super important, is just part of the program. So you want something that is carbon-based that can chelate and pull toxins out, but that is instantly replacing it with beneficial nutrients, because once you put beneficial bioavailable nutrients into your body, the cell will readily give up the toxins. Our bodies want to be healthy. Everything on earth that is a living organism wants to be healthy. All you have to do is give it the choice, and it will take up the right stuff.
Right. And, what I use for the term for that is innate intelligence. When we cut our hand, we don't need to sit there and tell our body to send white blood cells to that area. It knows what to do. So when you give the body the nutrients that it needs, it knows how to detox. It just, we have to give it what it needs, and we have to allow it to happen. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I mean, creation, the complexities we can study from the day we're born till the day we die, just the soil and the microorganisms in the soil around the world. And we'll never even touch a drop of that universe. It's so complex, right?
Right.
So, but yes, the innate intelligence is there. We just know the components. God's given us enough insight on what components to use for, whether it's soil and crop health or plant health, to honeybees. We have programs for honeybees. We have programs for livestock. We have programs for human beings. I've worked obviously a lot with world-class athletes and helping them not only perform at an incredible level and increase their PRs and all that sort of stuff, but also from the last 5 years, from the treatments that went out in 2021 for active military. We've worked with a ton of those guys, tier 1 operators, to help them with their health after the damage from the mandated So a lot of good things are happening in Cell. So we're launching Cell, CELL, cellsaviors.org as well, which is all natural products just to help people rebuild their bodies. We'll just say that.
Yeah, and I'm so looking forward to trying those products once you get them over to me. I can't wait. I'm as kind of a supplement junkie, so I can't wait to see it and try them. Now, we have Dusty Johnson over on Facebook. We have Ozzy Crosby over on YouTube. We have Randall Blank over on YouTube. Randy, friend of mine. All of them, they're giving you high fives, Pat. And I can't tell you how many people in the chat here on TikTok are just so grateful for what you're doing. And I, for one, am part of that group.
No, I appreciate it. Ultimately it's, again, just reintroducing the real world to everybody in terms of soil health to human health and everything in between, and helping people understand that the earth is just one big giant organism, and we all need the same components to maintain our health, right?
Well, so let's kind of change it up a little bit here, Pat. So what do you think of President Trump getting Israel and Iran to cease fire, India and Pakistan having peace there, the DRC and Rwanda? How do you see all of that from a global perspective, and what you're trying to do with the soil and waking people up? How do you see all that working together?
Well, I think that's a great thing that those treaties and ceasefires have been created. That's a really beneficial thing. I would say that a lot of the things that are going on in the world today are somewhat distractions. We have to be very, very careful moving forward. When we talk about the digital world, we talk about the 1,000+ acre AI facilities, which will be the brain for the world we're moving towards. Maintaining our financial independence, our free speech, and all of these things are going to be dependent on those systems and how their ability is to suppress or control mankind, right? So I think it's a much bigger, while people don't recognize, if it's not bombs and bullets and rockets and warplanes doing damage, kinetic action, people don't necessarily recognize it as a very serious threat, right? So
Right.
if somebody attacks you on the street, Sam, physically and tries to harm you, that's easy to see. Anyone can recognize violence. But violence comes in many forms, and that can be what's in our food, what's in our water, what's in our air. I mean, these are much bigger threats because ultimately we have to look at the statistics. Statistics do not lie. That over 250,000 people are going to die of say for instance heart disease. Well, you can't have inflammation. You can't have what they call disease without inflammation, which is caused by our environment, the toxins in our environment, right? Respiratory problems and all these other ailments that are going on. And at the same time, I think 20,000 people are killed with a gun every year in the United States. So you're 10 times more likely to lose a family member, a loved one, to what's in your water and what's in your food than you are to somebody kicking your front door in and shooting you. So people really need to wake up to the silent weapons in a quiet war, that's taking place around us, whether that's based on greed or bad intent or just humans not being that smart. Doesn't matter to me. It's happening, right? So
Well,
we have to recognize that.
Right, 100% I agree. And I think, when you're talking about the assault on not just the American people, but the people of the world, you specifically said heart disease. You have heart disease, you have diabetes, you have cancer. Well, there's one disease that if you take the accumulation of all three of those, heart, diabetes, and cancer, there's one other disease that is larger and bigger than all three of those combined. It's called iatrogenic disease. Iatrogenic disease is doctor or medication induced death. But you've never heard of it. Why has nobody ever heard of iatrogenic disease? Because, like you said, it's stealth. They don't want you to know about it. It comes in a form that you don't recognize readily. And so I couldn't agree with you more. Alex, what are your thoughts on it?
And iatrogenic is even more nefarious than all others because the medical students are taught that this is the way that we handle things, and they believe to their Hippocratic oath that they're doing right, not knowing that they're not, right? And I think that again with RFK Jr. coming in, lights are being shined in the dark corners of medicine and food and agriculture and all things that are, I think, going to bring us back around to a healthier population.
100%. Pat?
Yeah, no, it was spot on, and that's the thing is there was just an article on people studying medicine in the at the University of Iowa, and why would people want to stay in the University of Iowa because they're dropping the Medicaid or lowering Medicaid coverage and a lot of other things. Well, here's where I try to get through to people is that listen, with a healthcare system that is based on synthetic chemical patents for care. The system is always going to be broken. It's never going to work. And so why would I want any Medicaid or any health care at all besides traumatic injury, from being injured physically, for the most part? I haven't gone to see a doctor in 20 years.
That's a very good point, Pat. What the difference that you're describing is critical care versus what they call healthcare in America. They're two different things. When you break your bones, sure. God forbid, you go in, they set your bones. I'm all for that. That's crisis care. We have the best crisis care in the world. But what we call 100%. Healthcare in America at $4 trillion a year is not. In America, it is, I don't know if people know this, everybody, but you need to know that in America, it's illegal to patent a naturally occurring substance. You can't patent vitamin C. You can't patent folic acid. You can't patent anything that's naturally occurring. So what does the pharmaceutical industry do? They'll take something like garlic that is known to lower blood pressure. They'll take the active ingredient out of it. They'll change it at the molecular level so that it can be patented. Well, as soon as they change it at the molecular level, you have something that the body recognizes as toxic. So the body will fight it. Now, could it lower blood pressure? Sure. But then you have 7 other symptoms that come up because it was genetically modified. So talk a little bit about that, Pat.
Well, I'll talk about genetic modification in general. So again, 95% of all of our food is grown with synthetic chemicals, which is going to alter their medicinal qualities already, right? So we know that there are existing antioxidants, very powerful antioxidants on the planet. Fulvic humic acid being a combination of a lot of them on a wide spectrum. but the the berries, the fruits, and some vegetables, of course, have antioxidant properties, naturally grown, that have the ability to chelate, remove synthetic chemicals and heavy metals out of the cell, but also repair damaged DNA, which synthetic chemicals and heavy metals are the culprits behind our DNA damage, right? So, that's the major problem. When we talk about genetic modification, we know that there's numerous crops, seeds that have been genetically modified, insects, including mosquitoes, honeybees. They're dropping mRNA years ago. It was, I don't think, 4 or 5 years ago, all over the eastern seaboard in forests across the eastern, I think it was 13 states, that they were dropping millions of mRNA technology rabies oral baits for the wild animals. And this is mRNA technology that alters the genetics of the animals, right? So then we move on to CRISPR technology and mRNA technology for human beings and altering the genetics of human beings. So if I'm a corporation and for a seed, for instance, and have the capability, I create a patent or get a patent for the process to alter the genetics of a seed, and I'm successful, that seed then from there forward is my property, right? No matter what corporation has done it. Now, when you move through the food chain all the way up to human beings, because Supreme Court precedence has been set on all of these things, that everything else has become property of those multinational corporations. So if they've done it to human beings and altered our genetics, are humans who have had their genetics altered then property of the multinational corporations? And if so,
and
are
that's
they
a
even considered human?
and that's a perfect another example. What business is DuPont and Monsanto and Dow? They're making our seeds. They're chemical companies. I mean, my God, how much more obvious does it have to be?
Transhumanism.
Yeah, exactly. Alex, talk about that. Go ahead.
Well, it's big corporations. Their bottom line and their sole goal in life is to make their shareholders more money. And I mean, what a diabolical world when they can place patents on human genome. Like, it's not a good place. But again, I'm super encouraged by what the Maha movement is doing to bring these things to the forefront, right? The lights are on and the cockroaches are scattering. So I think over the course of the next, 4 or 5 years, I mean, we're 5-6 months into this administration. There's going to be an exorbitant amount of money thrown at stopping this from becoming common knowledge. And once we get past that hurdle, I'm very optimistic for what we have coming.
Right.
Yeah.
Dave?
Yeah, no, it's interesting on what it consists of. I'm coming from a farmer side of the deal and working with Pat on the past. I said, well, we can do some trial and errors, but I have to make a profit. I have to move, so it's like not be able to stick your neck out so far, but to learn from it too, And a lot of farmers like, no, this A, B, and C, and this is what we got to do. And this is how I was taught. This is how I was, brought up. This is how it works. So it's kind of a hard groove to get into. Right, Pat, on how to break that trend.
That's the trap, isn't it, Dave? That's the trap.
Totally the trap, and
Yeah,
I know
100%.
it. But
yeah, and I'm because both sides of my family come from Southern Iowa, the farming industry, and I watched in the '70s when I was a kid. Both sides of my family, the elders getting Parkinson's and cancer and everything else during the launch of the Green Revolution and the chemicals. I don't want to see that for farmers. I don't want to see that for anybody. So as we can do our best, number one, look, we know that the dry spread combined with the microbes is going to work. We do know that. It's a matter of us making it affordable for farmers to be able to use it. And you also have to understand that there's some logistics involved. I mean, we're talking trainloads of natural existing substances out of the earth that need to be reapplied to the soil, and then the microbes treating that to bring the soil back to life. Right now, Iowa, Midwest soil, but Iowa's one of the worst. It's well below 100 when we measure it on the general vitality scale. That means life in general. And it should be at 400 or higher for the soil to have its own immune system, and for the plants that grow up out of that to have their own immune system, which means fungal outbreaks and bacterial imbalances and all these different types of things aren't going to happen. It's the same thing for the human body. We need the essential nutrients in the right form and the right naturally existing collection or diversity of probiotics from the soil that's where they all came from, remember, out of our food, to be able to keep us and our immune system firing on all cylinders as well. That way, it's like what they call arthritis, which is joint inflammation, is actually an infection. That's it's an immune system problem, right? So that's where we're just trying to help people understand how the soil infections, the bacterial imbalances, all that sort of stuff. It's the same thing that a doctor would give you antibiotics for to kill the explosion of one bacterial problem while destroying the rest of them, and then you end up with C. diff, and people end up dying from C. diff because it killed all the good bacteria as well. Not that I wouldn't say the good bacteria, the ones that haven't exploded in population. We'll just say that.
Well, and I think, when it comes to the soil, as you know, I've followed Dr. Wallach for a long time. And I think, 32 of the minerals, only 32 can be produced by plants from long carbon chains, and everything else has to come from the soil or some number like that. So if that is the case, I mean, the answer is the soil.
Well, the minerals, all the minerals need to come from the earth originally and from the atmosphere. That's ultimately, so that's why medicinal herbs have, the medicinal herbs, there can be no, and ideally this is where they grow. If there's no iron or magnesium or calcium and other substances in a soil, well, that's why you get dandelions growing everywhere, because that's what they're pulling out of the atmosphere to put back into the soil. That's how the earth heals itself, right? So that's why the people that are lacking those elements as well, who are having health issues, why when you take dandelion leaves and roots and the flowers and turn them into a tea, that's why people feel the benefits of that, because it's replacing and putting in the bioavailable elements that you're supposed to have. So that's just another argument proving that soil and humans are literally one and the same.
Toey Bixby over on TikTok said that I'm so glad to hear that the soil problem is finally being addressed. And also Virgo 47 said, you need to be speaking to the USDA, Pat.
Here's my thing, is that from my observation throughout history, governments have rarely solved problems, right? There's a lot of people within the USDA that I have talked to, and they're 100% open to the solutions, and there's very good people in there. But what we observed is that if we make this available to the people that live in this country to solve their own problems with their own environment, their yards, their gardens, the food they eat, the orchards, their hunting land, because deer are eating synthetically grown grains and drinking water from runoff from, whether it's nitrogen or any of the pesticide residues, any of these things. And deer are now, around the Midwest having health issues as well. We need to solve these things on our own to a certain extent. We need to take the bull by the horns and everyone move that direction. And then generally what happens, if the population moves a direction, then generally the folks within the government will recognize that and say, hey man, they're not waiting for us. They're going to go and they're going to get it done. So,
well, it's interesting that you say that, because General Flynn, his whole thing is local action produces national impact. I'm sorry, Alex, I didn't realize you were talking there. Go ahead.
I said the same exact thing you did.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, it sounds like what you're describing is exactly what General Flynn has been saying, who, by the way, over the weekend was just pardoned by President Trump.
Winning. Quite frankly, we're not tired of winning. We're ready for more winning.
Right.
So if everybody wants to connect with Pat, soilsaviors.org and cellsaviors.org, where else can they reach you, Pat?
Yeah. Well, cellsaviors.org is not up yet. That's all being rebooted. It's a rebranding of a product line that we've already had. Of course, we've been doing this for a long time. So that'll be coming here in a week or two with that. But people can follow me obviously on here, and then on Instagram, I am under Soil Saviors, Soil Savior with the number 1 behind it, at Soil Savior 1.
Excellent. And then
on
what
there.
about
And
website?
then what Facebook?
Go ahead.
Oh, website soilsaviors.org, and then my website for my podcast and everything else will be going live very soon, and that'll be pjmilitich.com.
Excellent. Alex, will you remind everybody how they can follow Pat on TikTok from their phones now?
Simply click on the PJ Militich right there on his screen and click his picture, and you can hit the follow button and follow Pat here. That's how you do it on TikTok.
Okay,
And
cool.
you're saying your Cell Saviors store is the old one, because it still comes up.
Is Cell Saviors live?
Yes, sir. I'm looking at the store right now. Fulvic, humic, colloidal mineral
Oh, okay. Well,
registration kits.
Well, Pat, if you're anything like me,
Okay.
you have people helping you in the background that you're not always up to speed as I am. I get it.
yeah. And listen, I just want to tell everybody listening, I don't know if you can order yet. You can observe, but if you do order, everything's being rebooted up to, all of that stuff. So do not expect that to arrive to you in 3 days. I'm telling you right now, do not. I don't want any mistakes and any of that. So understand that right now.
Got it. Got it. All right, everybody. Well, that's really about all we have for today. I think, Pat, what we normally do at the end of the show is we go into what's called final thoughts. So would you mind giving some final thoughts as we move towards the close of the show?
Yeah, sure. I just, I want people to just recognize the difference in the real world and the counterfeit systems to a certain extent that have been created. We want to, with our health and with the food and with our environment, move back towards the natural world that jives and creates true health in not only wildlife but also humanity. Try your best to move away from laboratory created supplements back to the natural world, and that will move the needle for you generally a lot more than. And look, you don't have to buy stuff from us, but it should meet certain standards for everybody, right? And that's all I ask, is that we all work together and go back toward the natural world, because this isn't about us. This isn't about me. Ultimately, this is about our creator, our nation, national health, and our children mostly, right?
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Dave, what are your final thoughts today?
Well, Pat, I appreciate you joining us, finally getting this done and moving forward with it. And, excited to see Trump's going to be signing some executive orders this afternoon. So we'll see what that consists of. Appreciate everybody joining us.
Excellent. Alex?
Pat, thank you so much. Again, being in the MMA community since it was called shoot fighting before MMA, you are a legend, and very much appreciate you taking time out of your day to come talk with us. My father-in-law operates a very large farm that he takes to I say very large, a very large farmer's market farm, 400 plus tomato plants, fruits and vegetables that he takes every weekend to the farmer's market. So I'm gonna sit down with him and see if we can't get him using the product, and see if we can't get you some testimonials on that front. So much appreciation for you, sir. Thank you for all the contributions to humanity that you've made. I appreciate you taking time to come on the show. Thanks.
Right, exactly. And Pat, again, thank you for coming on. I hope that you'll join us again in the near future. We'd love to have you back on. Dave, as always, great job. Alex. And what I like to sign off with, Pat, every day is I always like this show to be positive, to give people hope, because I believe we are in the middle of historic times. President Trump calls it the golden age. I just call it the Great Awakening. And as I sign off every day, for everybody here on the panel and everybody at home, remember, the best is yet to come. So everybody, Pat, thank you for being here. Dave, Alex, and everybody at home, it wouldn't be a show without you. Thank you for the gifts. thank you for your patience with all the technology that we've been having issues with. But again, everybody, have a wonderful day. Pat, Alex, and Dave, thanks so much. And we'll talk to you all soon. I'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific time.
Sam, we can let Pat drop out, but your viewers, if you'll look at your like count and look at your chat.
No, we moved it up to 100K, remember? It's not 75 anymore.
Oh,
That's right, exactly. Everybody at home trying to pull a fast one. Pat, what we do is when we hit 100,000 likes, we all get up and we dance to the YMCA song in honor of President Trump and the United States of America.
And they love it.
And we started at 50,000 on likes for a couple months, but we were hitting 50,000 like 10 minutes into the show. So then we raised it to 75,000. And, 20 minutes into the show, we were hitting it. So now it's 100,000. And if we don't hit 100,000, then we don't do the dance. But that's what they're referring to, just in case you think we're crazy and we don't know what the hell's going on.
I tried to buy
Awesome.
the viewers some more time. We're at 80.
Not going to happen today. Not going to happen today. That just means you got to double it up tomorrow, everybody. Anyway, so, all right, everybody. Thanks for being here. We'll see you all tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. And Pat, again, thank you for coming. And I hope that we can have you on again soon. I hope you're willing to come back.
Thank you.
Okay. See you guys. Have a good day, everybody.